The Venice Commission will be more than willing to help. You will probably ask me about the voters list, and I'm happy to tell you that there were not much wrong to say about them. There had been a major effort put into having a correct voters list as possible. The result shows us that there were competition, and I know probably there are some disagreements among us here, but in my opinion, it shows us that there were competition. 7 candidates were competing. The winner got 56% and the second 36%. I call that competition. That main parties decided not to put up a candidate, you can actually only blame the parties themselves. So to conclude, I will say Armenia is on the right track to fulfill their obligation as a new democratic country in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walter. And now Mr. Sobanov.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to address you as the chair of the European Parliament delegation. The European Parliament, the only directly elected body of the European Union, represents 500 million European citizens and is committed to strengthening democracy all over the world. As the chair of the European Parliament delegation, I have the honor of speaking in name of my colleagues to support and endorse the preliminary findings and conclusions of our joint international election observation mission that Ambassador Tagliavini, head of the ODIHR long-term election observation mission, will present in detail. We have observed a calm election day characterized by no major difficulties in electoral process, following a somewhat quiet, low-key election campaign, lacking significant political debate and real competition, due to the fact that the 3 main parliamentary opposition parties decided not to nominate their candidates. The European Parliament attaches great importance to the follow-up of the recommendation of our International Election Observation Mission. We welcome the goodwill that the authorities have showed in this regard and after the last parliamentary election. We hope to see some efforts in implementing the recommendations that the ODIHR will issue after yesterday's election through an even more inclusive process that would involve all the relevant stakeholders in society. Armenia has undergone 2 elections in less than a year, and we have seen improvements in the process. Now, it is key that Armenian authorities deliver on important results as regards promoting democracy, economic and social reforms, essential for the conclusion of the EU-Armenia Association Agreement and also for restoring faith in the future electoral processes. Rest assured of the continued support of the European Parliament in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sobanov. And now Ambassador Tagliavini.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you all for being here in such a large number. My name is, as you have heard, Heidi Tagliavini. I'm the head of the OSCE Election Observation Mission. And let me first tell you a few things about our work here in Armenia and how this is reflected in the long-term findings of our preliminary statement. Our mission has been here since the beginning of January, with 16 members in the capital and 24 long-term observers deployed throughout the country. Thanks to the OSCE participating states, we could deploy nearly 300 observers from 36 OSCE member states on the election day. And together with this is together with our distinguished partners, of course, from the European Parliament and the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. While we were here, we met a wide range of interlocutors. We met with all the candidates, the election administration, the courts, and the civil society. And let me take this opportunity to thank all of them for their cooperation. Having been in the country for 6 weeks now, we can say that the candidates, as my colleagues before me also stressed, were able to campaign freely and fundamental freedoms were respected. Overall, the election was administered in a professional manner, and real efforts were made by the authorities to improve the quality of the voter list. The media covered all candidates in a rather balanced manner, but that coverage would have benefited from more critical analysis and debates between the candidates. Unfortunately, the blurring of the distinction between the state and the ruling party continues to be an issue. This was demonstrated in the misuse of administrative resources, in pressure on voters, and the lack of impartiality on the part of the local administrations. During election day, the voting process was orderly and well organized in the majority of the polling stations visited by our observers. We observed a number of serious violations, including interference in the process, mainly by proxies representing the incumbent, and also intimidation of voters. When it comes to vote counting, our observers assessed it positively. Although some irregularity and procedural violations were at times noted. You will find the detail on all our observations in the preliminary statement which has been just published. Our mission will stay in the country for another 10 days to follow the remaining stages of the election. Within 2 months after the election, we will produce a final report with recommendations on the way to further improve the electoral process. And ODIHR stands ready to present and discuss these recommendations, hopefully involving all stakeholders. And we will continue to supporting Armenia in further improving its elections. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ambassador Tagliavini. All right, now we'll have an opportunity for questions from the media. I'll ask you if you have a question, please, just to raise your hands, and we'll have. Sorry, if you'll. All right, excuse me. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. We can't. Take away. No. Excuse me.
Okay,
sorry, can we have them take? No. What do we do? Do we leave?
We leave.
I don't really know. Like if there would be not too old.
Should we take a break?
No, take a break.
I don't want to.
I think maybe we should leave.
Pardon?
Should we leave and come back?
Should we take a break? Yeah.
No violations.
Should we take a break? Shall we take a break?
We can take a break.
Yeah.
I think you're probably better off to do that.
Yeah.
Excuse me, we're going to take a break
no interpretation
for 5 or 10 minutes here, and then we'll resume the press conference.
This is our country!